All right, I am really, really excited to be here. This is a report that we've been chomping at the bit to give for several years now. We worked really hard to get our conservation plan that the council approved up and running. We were charged with finding a good, smooth way to implement it, and I can take almost no credit for how smooth that's gone, but it has gone amazingly, amazingly well. We've got a wonderful staff in our environmental services group, and Nicole Baker's just been instrumental not only in drafting this plan, but in figuring out how to implement the plan, doing the outreach, and really just can't give her enough credit through this process. I think the thing that I love the most about this report on water conservation is that often, I think the thing I like about local government is that we're forced to be so practical. We face real problems that we have to solve, and there's no politically ideological way to deliver water. We just have to deliver water, and it's a resource, and it's the most basic, fundamental element that we need to survive as a species. The reason that Moscow sits where Moscow sits is because of the availability of fresh water. The reason that every civilization in the history of mankind sits where it sits is because of the availability of fresh water. And that's, to me, that's really neat to have such large and basic problems that we get to try and solve, and that we get to come together as a community, which really, local government, that's all it is just people coming together and working toward a common good. And we get to try and work on this. And our water conservation plan really provides people with the tools as residents to help with this problem. And a lot of problems, I think that we get overwhelmed with problems that we see in the world that seem just too big for all of us, and we don't know where we can have an impact. And I think what we'll show in this report is that every resident of this city can have a big impact, and that with the tools that the city has provided through this conservation plan, it can be really easy to have that impact, and it can be easy to see that impact. And so this is something that we're really excited about. I'm going to let Nicole take the reins and walk through some of the successes that we've had with this program, and then we're going to give you a really exciting update about our Yscape Garden here at City Hall. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nicole and let her give you the details.
Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Mayor, Council. I appreciate being here this evening. I really do like talking about the conservation efforts from not only our leaders supporting that, but our community. It does take a lot of people coming together to make a big difference, and even from one household they can make such a difference. But you combine all that together, we can really reduce that pressure on our declining aquifer. So I'm going to remind our residents of the fixture rebate program that we have available to them. Several residents have already taken advantage of this great opportunity. So tonight I want to remind everybody that this is available to all of our water customers. So if you have a toilet that is a high water use toilet and it's time to upgrade, we will help you with this at the city and give you a rebate incentive to do that. There's different levels of rebate incentives based on what you are taking out and what you're replacing it with. The example I have here is an example from a rebate that was submitted, and you can see this old clunky toilet. It doesn't even look good. So whether you're updating your home or just wanting to switch out your old fixtures, this is a great opportunity for you. This one is from 1956, so best guess 5 gallons per flush, probably more, to be honest with you. And they replaced it with a high efficiency toilet. So this one household with one toilet is saving 16,000 gallons annually of water. So that's a significant amount of savings for just one household. So imagine if several households are doing that. We make it easy for you. We accept do-it-yourself installations as well as professional. The rebate process is pretty seamless. We have an application form, and within two weeks usually you get your rebate check. Now, looking at the citywide success of this program, you can see our participation has increased significantly from when this program was implemented in 2016 versus this fiscal year. Now, implementation started about May of 2016, so we don't have a complete fiscal year. But even considering that, we still have an increase in not only fixture participation, but also for the households that are a part of our problem solving with decreasing this need on our declining aquifer. As you can see, the combined efforts for our water savings is 1.4 million gallons for both fiscal years combined. Now, that is a savings we're going to see 10 years from now. So this conservation plan that Tyler mentioned, it is a 10-year plan. So we are always going to see that water savings. For the city, the total cost combined for both fiscal years is a little over $17,000. If we want to look at that in 1,000 gallons saved, that is $1.59 is the cost per 1,000 gallons saved. Now, we want to compare that with a conservation plan projected costs. We're well within that budget range. Now, I do need to mention that the cost is even better than what that $1.59 is. If we consider that we're not pumping that water to treat it and send it out into our lines, and then on the other side, we are not treating that effluent water, we're saving an additional 79 cents per 1,000 gallons saved for that cost of being 80 cents. And we did want to compare and let our customers know what are they paying for that 1,000 gallons for water coming through their home, and that's at Tier 1, $3.10. Now, I have it at Tier 1 because typically our households in Moscow, they're within that first tier for indoor water use. Now, on to one of my more favorite things to talk about at work is the Yscape program. Now, the city has been involved in supporting the Yscape program since 2008, starting with the Mayor's Yscape Award, which we'll be here in a couple months to talk about that. But in addition to that, we have demonstration gardens that Tyler will discuss later, and we have now this rebate program. So if you have 300 square feet or more of irrigated turf, and you want to convert that to a Yscape, the city has a $150 rebate that they'll get back to you. It's a simple process as far as you get a hold of me. I come and do a pre-site and a post-site inspection. Now, looking at, a lot of people say, well, gosh, I'm overwhelmed by this. I might not be ready to make this full conversion. Well, I often say start with your front lawn. You know, we understand that green spaces are necessary, so start with the front lawn, because typically people don't barbecue in the front lawn or have their dogs out there or, you know, throw the ball with their kid. So start there. Or even better yet, you could start on one of these tree planting strips. So you have this strip of grass that's hard to, if you think about it, how are you going to water that efficiently? Because you're going to end up watering the impervious surface, which is against city code anyway, so start there as well. So if you look at 1,200 square feet, you can easily save 9,300 gallons, and that is on a very conservative level. That's assuming that you're watering your grass efficiently. And the Yscape, you know, according to the calculations from the water department, Yscape, it uses a third of the water, and in a lot of cases it's better than that. So one household can make a big difference. Now, taking a look at the program citywide, we have an increase of participation from the implementation year to this year. And that is really good news, because when I talk to Yscapers, whether it be for the Mayor's Yscape Award or a pre- and post-site inspection, I ask them, how did you hear about this program? And they said, well, my neighbor's doing it, and it looked really nice. And so the more people that are participating, the more this will spread, these ideas will spread that this does look good. It does use less water. It does use less resources. And the cost to the city for this program thus far is a little over $3,400. Cost per 1,000 gallons saved is $1.46, and comparing that with comparing that with the water conservation plan, it's significantly less. Now, I do want to add that this is a direct correlation with how many feet are converted to Yscape, so that cost will vary from year to year. And right now, we do have 28 rebates pending. So that means we have done a pre-site inspection, and in the spring, we'll do some follow-up and see how they're coming along with their new Yscape. Again, with the additional costs, if we consider that we're not pumping that water that people are putting out on their lawn, because they don't have their lawn anymore, then we're looking at $1.10 per 1,000 gallons saved. And I do show the different tiered rates for that 1,000 gallons that a customer has when they're paying for their water. So Tier 1 is at $3.10, and then as you can see, Tier 3 is pretty high. But Tier 3 is over 2,000 cubic feet, and so that essentially is that customer that does have a big green lawn, and they're keeping that big green lawn green. So you can see the difference in cost as well. And we are happy to announce that the Y-Scape Guidebook is available. It's available at the water office. It's available online. The City of Pullman also has it available. This was a collaborative effort. We came together and we created this book to help and support our customers and our residents to make this Y-Scape conversion. We want to remind people that this is a free booklet to them, and as well as hopefully that can inspire them in addition to the $150 rebate. And I have a few here tonight if anybody's interested. With that Y-Scape thought, I'm going to let Tyler take over.
Nicole, do you know off the top of your head what what's the average cubic feet used on for indoor use per household?
580.
580 is the
Yes,
average?
yeah.
I'm really glad you asked Nicole that, Jim, because there wasn't a chance I was going to be able to answer like that.
Yeah, she
Is that per
kinda had
month?
that on top of her head.
Tyler, is that per month?
Did you make that up
Yeah.
on the spot? Because I've heard 85% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
What is it that they say? There's lies, something lies,
No,
statistics. Not from us. You get the straight truth. So, so we want to talk now, what Nicole, I think those numbers are so encouraging, and I love that about Moscow's. Especially the more people find out about this, the more inclined they are to participate. They want to participate. Nicole and her staff have done a wonderful job making this easy to do. It really is a simple process. And we're not stopping here. We don't consider our conservation plan a dead document. It's living. It's a dynamic document, and we're always coming up with new ways that we want to do our outreach. We have a lot of really cool plans in the pipeline that we're trying to work through. That we'll be bringing some of them back to council just to continue to enhance our outreach and make it easier and easier to do this. So we really do appreciate all the participation. So I want to talk about one case study that we set up that's very visible here at City Hall. Everybody's seen the Y-Scape conversion from this area here that was just impossible to keep grass grown in, and there's grass kind of behind, to this, the beautiful Y-Scape that Nicole designed and that we installed last year. We really appreciated the support from administration and from our electeds on this project. It's funny. It's a change. It's iconoclastic. People are used to seeing green grass in public places, in certain public places, and so for some people it was, well, shouldn't City Hall have green grass? And that was a question to answer. There is something about, there's a nostalgia attached to that because people are used to it. But I think that what we ended up with was something really beautiful. But one of the things we really wanted to do with the City Hall Y-Scape was truly set it up as an example so that we could run a good comparison and get good side-by-side numbers on what the inputs are, not just water, but also what are the inputs that you maybe don't consider: the fertilizer, the lawnmower, the gas in the lawnmower, the labor time, all of these things that sometimes we don't think about, those inputs that maybe are costing us time, which ultimately is probably one of our most valuable resources, and costing us, we're emitting more greenhouse gases. So we wanted to look comprehensively, and we set this Y-Scape up to do that. We have it metered separately so that we're able to very accurately account for the water that goes to each side, and then in cooperation with our Parks Department, who really I just can't say enough about how wonderful they've been. This is something that's new for them too. They know how to maintain green grass, and they're stretched thin. We get a lot done with not a lot of employees in this city, and they really work hard to keep up on a lot of acreage, and we're sensitive to that. And so this was something new for them, and they really were very helpful. They got on board. They lent us their expertise. They've been wonderful to work with. So through that process, they cooperated with us in tracking the inputs that went into the grass section so that we could then compare those to the Y-Scape section. And so that's what I'm going to go through with you right now, is just some of these numbers, because they're really surprising. Why Y-Scape? Well, why go to this effort? Just minimal water needs. Obviously, the Y-Scape uses far less water, and we'll discuss exactly how much less. Less labor, low to no chemical use, and the reduced greenhouse gases. And we'll talk some specifics here. What we did is we took for an accurate comparison, we took the entire input for the grass portion of City Hall and then we reduced that down to the equivalent square footage that was put into Yscape. So there's 1,430 square feet of Yscape right now at City Hall. That's the first phase of our Yscape. We do plan to continue with additional phases of Yscaping at City Hall, but that first phase was 1,430 square feet, and so we used an equivalent numbers from the lawn. So right here you can see in the gallons of water used, these are actual numbers, these aren't projected, these are actual numbers, the number of the gallons of the water use. You can see that the traditional lawn, and the assumption in here is actually efficient watering of that lawn. Our Parks Department has to water this by hand. They're out there moving sprinklers around. Sometimes that can be less than efficient, but this assumes efficient watering of that lawn, and you can see how significant that is. And the thing that we want to point out with this slide is generally a Yscape uses far more water in the first year and second year, but especially the first year as it's established. And so we were actually surprised by this number. We thought that the number would be higher, but it just performed exceptionally well, and it looks just gorgeous out there. And so our water use, as you can see, significantly less, a fourth of the water. And then looking at the greenhouse gas emissions from the Yscape, you can see that we had about 157 pounds for the traditional lawn and 30 pounds for the Yscape. You're not mowing it. You're not out running the edger or the weed whacker or those types of things that will produce this. And it's not even just those expenses, but when you look at, since I've got to mow this, then I've got to transport the mower to the site, and I've got to we've got to drive it. It takes a bigger vehicle. We got to bring the fertilizer out here. We got to spray it. So there's a lot of those inputs that don't have to happen on the Yscape side. This is something that we wanted to track as well, was just the labor hours. What type of hours go into this Yscape? The Yscape out there there's a lot of variety out there, and it's beautifully maintained. I mean, I don't think I've seen it with any trash in it. We keep an eye on it. We keep it trimmed, keep it clean. And here's the labor comparison. 46.5 hours that our Parks Department spent putting fertilizer on it, mowing it, and watering it, and we had 7.5 hours on the Yscape. And that actually includes the time that was spent this week. From the time that we gave the presentation to the Public Works Finance Committee to this week, we had some time in doing the maintenance, and we anticipated that time and included it in this number. And so that really is a real input. So yeah, you look at the hours comparison, and again, it's not even comparable. And so the thing that we really came away with was there's not a good argument for not doing this where it's appropriate. It's financially responsible. It's ecologically responsible. We're being responsible with resources comprehensively, and it's less time consuming. And so it makes sense all the way around the board, and it's beautiful. I guess when I think about it, I think about if I had two cars that I really liked, I may like one a lot more, but if it's completely outside my budget, then I'm going to go with the other one that I like. And in my case, I think the Yscape is more aesthetically pleasing. I prefer it. Like I said, I don't want to throw a ball with my kids on it. And so there's a need, there's a space for that. But I think that really as a city, we need to consider the inputs that go into this and what's the more responsible choice for our landscaping. So some of the other things that really I don't think a lot of people consider up front is the urban wildlife that it attracts. I'll tell you, I love it. Every morning when I walk into the water building over here on A and Main, we have that established Yscape garden there. There are birds and there are squirrels, and the birds sit right in the little bush that's right by the door, and you just walk by and they just flit around, and it makes me happy. It makes me feel good to be in an area, especially in an urban area right in the middle of a downtown, where there's still wildlife. There's habitat for the wildlife. And so it's really neat to see that. These pictures are taken right here, the quail, that's right outside our water building. And so you get year-round color, you get the diversity, and attracts pollinators also, which is also a big deal right now. We've had several presentations on pollinators given and the critical nature of pollinators in our community, and so it gives them something to eat. So those are just some of the reasons for the Yscape. We've come up with, as Nicole mentioned, the Yscape Guidebook, which was a wonderful effort. Really the first time we've collaborated with the City of Pullman on something of that scale. Mayor Lambert will be presenting that with Mayor Johnson from Pullman at the Water Summit, which we are super, super excited about. We were before the council a few weeks ago talking about our water alternative study. Just nothing more critical than we could be talking about at this time. And so we hope everyone will come out to this. It's a free event at Schweitzer Events Center. It's this Thursday, starts at 4:30. Just a wonderful event. Great speaker lined up, and it'll be a lot of fun. And with that, we'd take any questions you might have.
Tyler, and Nicole, thank you, Nicole, for that presentation on Whitescapes. And I look forward to the presentation we'll have in the following month on the winners that we have from it. And I can tell you I can't tell you how many houses in Moscow that have whitescaping, but there is a tremendous amount. I think it'd be kind of interesting to have a count, really, because there is a lot of people doing the right thing by this. And you talk about the October 19th Water Summit and water alternatives, and I think that's exactly where we need to move. We've talked about this for a long, long time. It's time for us to move forward with it. Questions for Tyler or Nicole?
Well, I'd just like to say, point out that all those plants out in the Whitescape have little identifying plates on them, so anybody that's considering that can see how they look in their yard, and it's a great way to plan your own Whitescape and pick out plants because they are labeled out there.
And we're so happy. Nicole is our resident expert. She spends a lot of time just consulting with people. They have questions. They want to know specifics, and we love doing that. We love helping people out any way we can.
And not only is Nicole an expert on, but we've got a lot of residents. If you spot one that you like in a certain yard, you can go up and talk to them, and they're very proud to talk to you about how it works for them, how to do it, and it's pretty exciting.
If you do the math just on the lawn rebate portion, with the over 9,000 gallons per year that a single residence can save, if you extrapolate that out, or the number of residents that we have in the city, it's over 55 million gallons annually that we could save, and that's just with that one little bit that you do, that tiny percentage of the lawn. If everybody just did that much, it would be that. So it really adds up when you look at everybody coming together and having a cumulative impact.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to thank Nicole. I'm a teacher, and so I was going to encourage the Boy Scouts. You can go and get rain catchers down at the water building. There's two types. There's a square and there's a circular one. And there's all the shower heads and all the things that you can change out on your faucets. And there's timers for your shower, so you take a 5-minute shower. And so there's a lot of things that and you can take those into your school and stuff too. Nicole will give them to take and start distributing it, because by you talking about it, you get more people conserving, and that's the goal of what we're doing.
One of the really, really big things we're excited about that's upcoming is we're working on a household audit program to have a simple process by which people can do an audit on their own household, and then they can get in touch with us and get all of the devices that would be applicable to their house. And so we're working out the specifics on that, but we really hope to have a big impact with that.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I have to give a plug for the WaterWise Guide. I love that document. It not only, like Bill was saying, it gives examples of the WaterWise plants, but it's kind of also between now and when we get to actually do something in our yard again, it's a nice dreaming document. You can pick out the ones you like, put a little star, and plan. So I like the collaboration, but it is a really, really useful guide as well.
Yeah, my wife has spent a lot of time with it over the last couple of weeks making plans for next spring.
That should put you to work then,
Yeah.
Tyler, right? Walter?
Two things about the Water Summit. They're giving away a free,
McCoy has donated a free low-flow toilet, and we also have $1,000 that was donated for a Whitescape makeover.
Wow, that's nice.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
there's food and drink available there, so you won't miss supper.